You mentioned your gin still earlier, and it's a very particular gin still that you use. That has a very special name, I believe.
Yes, it's a small 300-litre still. It's manufactured by Frilli, a company based in Siena in Italy. It is named after a local woman of some repute. Her nickname was the Dottach. She was a friend of Burr Bakewell, our chairman and founding father, obviously. Evidently, it was his idea, his brainchild. He wanted to see the Isle of Harris dragged up by its bootstraps, essentially. Over the years, there's been a great many enterprise programs put in place where lots of government money has been thrown at a business or businesses that haven't stood the test of time. They've maybe done their minimum requirement of employing people for 5-6 years and then moved on to pastures new or closed. So he always thought that having a distillery would be a multi-generational occupation. Traditionally, it has been, despite the whiskey industry having its peaks and troughs like everything else.
Yeah.
It's quite unusual for the Isle of Harris to be getting the opportunity to host a large employer and a potentially large business, or large for our population size. So yeah, it's all hand in glove really with his vision. Also the fact that partly included in that is his desire to employ local people that would maybe be more inclined to root themselves in the landscape and not want to get trained, live here for a couple of years, and then maybe move on to pastures new.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you've got some hooks in the island, or the island has hooks in you already, you're more likely to possibly hang around for the longer term, which is very much the goal of everyone in the distillery.
Now, of course, you are on an island there, and I was very curious as to how the ongoing pandemic has impacted things for you, being the kind of boots on the ground at the distillery. So how has the last 18 months been for you?
Normality is slowly returning. In terms of the medical side, or the more unhappy side of COVID, the Western Isles escaped the vast majority of it.
Yes.
Obviously, an island off an island, if you like, has maybe double insulated us from the pandemic. We still produced. We shut down our whiskey operation. We had a skeleton staff in last year. I think we had 4 or 5 people working in the distillery at any one time. A lot of people were furloughed. A lot of people were working from home. We produced gin non-stop in smaller quantities, but we never stopped making gin.
Right.
We were packaging. We were like lots of other businesses in the United Kingdom. Everything moved very quickly to an online business. So we'd always put great store and controlling our own product and restricting the avenues where people could buy it. We don't sell a product that people are going to be able to pick up in a supermarket. It's a product that's worth searching out and making a little bit extra effort to get a hold of. But that really took off last year. So the people working in the dispatch and bottling side of things were very, very busy. We also made hand sanitizer in partnership with a local company.
Nice.
So it kept us very busy. So that I was given away to local businesses at the time, so that helped a lot. But it was a strange time. Obviously, at the very beginning, you were going into work, and the place was even quieter than it would normally be, even in the midst of winter. It was strange. You were just wondering how things were going to turn up. Same as everybody else all over the world. But we wanted to keep the distillery functioning, and distilleries work better when they're worked hard.
Yes, yeah, I understand. Yes.
So that's one thing we've learned over the years as we've grown. If there's any sort of lull in production, more so with the whiskey side of things, we find that the harder you work it, the better it performs. The easier it is to keep things working as you want. So we didn't want things to be mothballed. It wouldn't have been good for the business, wouldn't have been good for the building, wouldn't have been good for their sanity. So as things gradually got busier and busier, more people gradually trickled back from furlough. So thankfully, it enabled us to emerge from the other side, and we're still here, and the future is looking nice and rosy.
Now, I'm curious, as with you being on an island, attached to an island, how has the vaccine rollout been in your part of the world?
Phenomenally successful. I am 42 and I have had my double vaccinations.
Oh, wow.
I got my first vaccination probably 3 months ahead of where I would have got it if I was living on the mainland of Scotland.
Really?
Yeah, we were doing really well here. Obviously, having although we are very remote, we have a slightly we've got quite a small population of circa 29,000 people spread across an island archipelago of a fair size, but the local health board is always very community orientated, and it's all very well organized. So we're doing very, very well. So well that we were actually quite concerned that it might have been a double-edged sword. We might have been so well vaccinated as an island population that we might have been potentially cut off for longer from everywhere else because of how successful we were. And we didn't.
Interesting. Yeah, I would never have thought about that, but yeah, I get it.
Luckily, that never happened. That would have been bad news because we're traditionally a tourism-led economy now. The businesses of fishing and working the land aren't as prevalent as they once were. So tourism is of a vital importance to the Western Isles as an island grouping nowadays. I'm getting more so.
Yes.
And especially this year now that people going abroad, it's not as easy as it would be. But yeah, the vaccination program is probably the only thing the UK government has got right out of the entire scenario. So
I've been following that quite closely from over here, so I know all about that, and I won't make any comments for fear of saying something controversial. Norman, thank you very, very much for joining us all the way from the Isle of Harris, and perhaps one day I'm going to make it up there. It's been a while, so I have to. It's been a long time, but I'm gonna make it up there. I will. I shall.
You should. It'll be well worth your while. And although we don't know when it's going to be released, hopefully when you do come, there'll be whiskey as well as gin to enjoy at the same time.
Superb. Norman, thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll speak with you again sometime soon, I hope. All the best.
You too. Thank you very much. Take care.